Welcome to my channel, I'm Professor Binks. We're going to be doing a Pokemon solo challenge on Pokemon Red. I'll be using a wheel randomizer to determine which Pokemon we'll be using, and we'll replace one of these starters using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer. It will ensure that the rival picks whoever is most effective against us. Here's the wheel, and let's see who we get. Chansey, alright, this is actually going to be pretty fun after a certain point. Chansey has terrible stats except for HP and special, and thankfully because Gen 1 has just one special stat for attack and defense, this will be really easy once we get a special move, which will actually take a little while, but once we get it, it'll be pretty easy. So let's move on. Our rules will be the same as they usually are and posted in the top right of the screen at all times. We'll be playing with 4 times game speed, which does not affect the in-game timer. We can only battle using our chosen Pokemon, in this case Chansey. If one of our other Pokemon come out into battle, we have to try to lose, and if we cannot lose, we have to reset the game. I will not be using any items during battle except for Pokeballs to catch Pokemon. And the only glitches I can do are badge boosting, because they happen usually automatically, you just can't really do anything to avoid it. Red bar will happen not on purpose. When your HP goes red, you can skip some animations and sound cues. And I will be doing early Brock skip in this run, which lets you skip Brock early. You still have to fight him, just not right away. I'll be doing the Cycling Road bicycle skip, where you can go onto Cycling Road without getting a bicycle. I'll explain that when I do it. And I have to fight the Elite Four and Champion back-to-back without saving in between. Here's our rival fight. We are just using Double Slap, since it's generally better than Pound right now, so we have chances for more hits. And we managed to beat the rival, and we're going to move on to doing the Brock skip in just a second. Here we are, we save in front of this guy who takes us to Brock, and then when his dialogue box finishes, you have to open your menu really quick and save the game again, and you will reload. And when you come back, the event is still triggered, so we'll have to complete, and it'll take us over to the gym still, but it's a little bit different. And now we can head back over there, moving above, and then right down there, and then we are past Brock. We're in Mount Moon now, and we're going to pick up TM1 Mega Punch, and we're going to teach that to Chansey for a pretty powerful move early on. It'll help offset our terrible attack stat. And now we're going to fight this Rocket Grunt and see how the fight goes. Mega Punch does over half. This is kind of good. We get critically hit for a lot of damage because we don't have any defense. We managed to take out the Zubat without any issues, and now we're going to fight the Super Nerd and grab the Helix Fossil. Mega Punch does not quite half, which is a little bit unfortunate. And then Mega Punch gets disabled, so we have to do this with considerably weaker moves. We do manage to level up. Our stats are not great at the moment. Pound crits and does half to Voltorb, which is pretty nice. Our defense is getting lowered, but it's irrelevant. Pound does very minimal damage to Coughing, and we get poisoned, which is not good. But Mega Punch gets undisabled, so we switch over using that, and we almost lose to the Super Nerd, but we managed to take it out. And with this, I'm feeling kind of confident, and we're going to try and fight Brock and see how that goes. Alright, so here's Brock, and let's see how our first attempt goes. We test the waters with a Mega Punch, we crit, which isn't a really good indicator, but it is what it is. We move over to Double Slap for the multi-hit. Any hit above 2 is kind of a good thing. We're not taking too much damage yet. I would prefer a couple more defense kernels from the Geodude, but we go down to half. We're under half now. And Geodude's down in the red. And we managed to take out the Geodude with a little under half. This is potentially doable. We missed with our first attack against the Onix, unfortunately. And we get crit for it. We're getting some good hits on double hit. Thankfully it uses Bide, but we run out of double slap PP, so we're going to switch over to Mega Punch, which is doing probably 1, maybe 2 damage. Onix switches over to Tackle, and Bide goes off, and we miss a Mega Punch. We critically hit with one, that's really good, and we take ourselves out. But we got pretty close, so we're going to try it again. We open with another critical Mega Punch on Geodude, which is pretty nice. It'll make this go a little easier, and then we move over into the double slaps again. Thankfully, his Geodude is using less tackles, so we have considerably more HP going into Onix. It definitely looks like double slap's only doing 1 damage. Onix uses Bide. And we don't take very much damage, so this is good. It's using Screech, which are lowering our already abysmal defense, so honestly, Screeches are probably our preferred move that he uses. We get it down into the yellow before we're in the yellow, so this is pretty good. We finally hit yellow from Onix's tackle. It goes for a Bide, and we've got it pretty low, and we actually take out the Onix with Mega Punch at level 21 with Chansey. This is phenomenal, because now we get TM34, which is Bide, which will be extremely useful in the upcoming battles until we get a special move. So we're going to move on to Misty now, where we're going to get Bubble Beam, and it's going to drastically help us. So against her Staryu, we're just going to use Bide, and obviously we get outsped. We get hit by a Tackle, and we take out the Staryu, and we're going to do the same thing on the Starmie. It hits us with a couple water guns, and we take it down into the yellow. We Bide again and get hit by a water gun and bubble beam, and we go down to 7, but we take out the Starmie. We decided to learn Sing because it could be useful. We're going to replace Pound with it since we don't need it anymore. And now we have Sing, that'll be pretty good. But more importantly, we have TM11, which we're going to use right now and teach our Chansey Bubble Beam, which, when paired with our really good special stat, is going to do most of the work for us. Now on to Rival 2, where we're going to show how good Chansey actually is now that it has a special move. Bubble Beam does over half to Pidgeotto, and we take 30, which would normally be a lot, but we've got a fair amount of HP. Abra can't really do anything against us. So we just use 2 Bubble Beams and take it out. 1 Bubble Beam takes out his Rattata, and it's super effective on Charmander. On to the SS Sand, where we're going to fight rival number 3. We're going to Bubble Beam the Pidgeotto. Raticate also gets a Bubble Beam and goes down in 1 hit. Thankfully, Kadabra uses Teleport, which doesn't matter too much considering we're still at almost 200 HP, and we take out down Rival 2 with no difficulty, so we're going to move on to Lieutenant Surge. This will be just as easy as all the other fights, since he is not resistant to water attacks, so we're just going to use Bubble Beam, and his Voltorb goes down in 2 hits. We hit level 30 and now have over 200 HP. Pikachu goes down in 1 hit, and Raichu obviously goes first and survives a Bubble Beam without going into the yellow. But we've managed to critically hit our second one, and Surge goes down. Now we have TM24 Thunderbolt, and this is going to make our life even easier. We're going to replace Growl that we learned in the battle, and now we're going to move on to Rival 4 in Pokemon Tower. We're doing things out of order compared to usual, and Pidgeotto goes down to 1 Thunderbolt. Execute's going to come out. We're going to try and put it to sleep, since we don't want to get put to sleep. While it's sleeping, we're going to use Thunderbolt. It is not very effective, but it does a large amount of damage. Gyarados comes out, and it falls to 1 Thunderbolt. And here comes the Kadabra. We're just going to use more Thunderbolt. A base 95 power attack is very strong at this point in the game. We finish it off with Bubble Beam, and Charmeleon goes down to Bubble Beam, just the same. After this, we're going to move on to Celadon City, and we're going to learn Ice Beam to round out our moveset. We decide to get rid of Bide since we don't need it anymore, and we're going to go fight Erica. This will be exceedingly simple. We're just going to Ice Beam her Victory Bell. It doesn't get knocked out, and thankfully its Poison Powder misses. We try to finish it off with a Bubble Beam, and it survives a little bit and manages to put us to sleep and starts rapping. She then uses Super Potion and starts using Razor Leafs. We finally wake up under half HP, but we managed to take it out with a Ice Beam. We should still be able to win this. Tangela comes out. Can we knock it out in 1 Ice Beam? We can. And here's the Vileplume, and we do over half, and we managed to knock it out. So Erica goes down. Now we're going to fight Giovanni in Rocket Headquarters in the game corner, and we have Ice Beam and Bubble Beam, so this is not going to be too difficult. His Onix and Rhyhorn go down in 1 Bubble Beam. And for the Kangaskhan, we're just going to use Thunderbolt. It bites us for quite a bit and manages to flinch us, which is unfortunate. We're down in the yellow. We go down to 13 HP, but we defeat Giovanni on our first try. We decide not to minimize, and we move on to Rival 5 in Silphco. We're going to use Thunderbolt, and Pidgeotto manages to stay up. We finish it off with the Bubble Beam, taking only 1 hit, and Ice Beam takes out his Execute in a single attack. Gyarados will fall to Thunderbolt. Thankfully, it uses Leer. So we move into the Alakazam with almost full HP. Confusion hits us for minimal damage because of our really high special defense. We try to put it to sleep, but it didn't work, so we just move into using Ice Beams. It gets a critical hit and brings us down into yellow. And here's the Charizard. We don't take it out with Thunderbolt. It hits us with Ember, and then it falls. So Rival 5 goes down onto Giovanni in Silphco. We got poisoned at the Rocket Grunt just outside. We decided not to cure it, so we have enough HP and we're not going to take too much damage. We use Thunderbolt to take out his Nidorino and his Kangaskhan. His Rhyhorn comes out, and we're just going to knock it out with 1 Bubble Beam. We choose not to learn Defense Curl since we don't need it. Upping our defense will not help, and we don't really need to Badge Boost. His Nidoqueen comes out and takes us into the yellow. And we just Ice Beam the Nidoqueen, and that's really all Giovanni has for us. We're going to go pick up Psychic, and that will round out our moveset. Here is Cycling Road Skip. You talk to this dude, and you just keep holding left while going through his dialogue boxes. And it'll put you into Cycling Road even without the bicycle. We're just going to go through it without doing any encounters, and to get out of Cycling Road, you do the same thing in reverse. You're going to go up to the top, hold right, and click through the dialogue, and you're out, easy as that. Decide to fight Koga first, and we do it without even healing. So here is Psychic, and it takes out his Coughing in 1 hit. Muck will probably survive 1 attack. It does. Its special is dropped. It doesn't attack us, so it goes down. Coughing falls just as easy. Wheezing might be a problem. We don't take it out. We get hit by Toxic. And, oh, Koga goes down in 1. Cool. So we're moving on to Blaine now. We're definitely going to get outsped by everything, but we have Bubble Beam. We actually managed to outspeed the Growlithe, and it goes down in 1 hit. Ponyta manages to survive 1 attack, then falls. Rapidash comes out, he starts with a Super Potion, and Rapidash goes down to under half, hits us with a very powerful Stomp, and flinches us. Thankfully, it doesn't follow it up with anything, and we take it out. Arcanine comes out, misses with takedown, and we critically hit. We probably would have lost if we didn't have the insane luck we had there. Here's the Sabrina fight. I'm not expecting anything too crazy to happen since our special's so high. We will definitely be outsped every fight though. So we're just going to use Thunderbolt, and Kadabra goes down into yellow. We use an Ice Beam since it has a chance to freeze, which could be useful. Mr. Mime is taking considerably less damage, but it doesn't do any damage to us, so that's a win. We use Ice Beam, and it does quite a bit to the Venomoth. We do get hit with Stun Spore and become paralyzed, ensuring we go second. We choose not to learn Light Screen since we don't need it. And how will Alakazam treat us? It starts with a Recover, so that's a good sign. We take it down into the yellow, and it uses Reflect, so Sabrina goes down, no issue. Let's move on to Giovanni. Between Bubble Beam and Ice Beam, I'm not expecting any issues. I'm hoping Diglett does not use Dig, but we'll see. Rhyhorn goes down in one hit. Thankfully, Dugtrio uses Sand Attack and then falls to one Ice Beam, so this is going to be a cakewalk. Nidoqueen falls, just the same. Nidoking, also, critical hit, that might have mattered. We level up to level 50, and then Rhydon falls to an Ice Beam, so that's great. Let's move on to Rival 6. I believe his Charizard knows Slash now, which could be an issue. We Thunderbolt the Pidgeot and take it out in one hit. Rhyhorn comes out, and it's going to fall to an Ice Beam, which is also a critical hit. We're getting a little bit of luck, which we may or may not need. Execute, third critical in a row. Gyarados outspeeds us, uses Leer, and then gets KO'd by Thunderbolt. Alakazam comes out, and we're going to switch over to Ice Beam, hoping to freeze it. It crits with Psychic, bringing us down into the yellow, but it uses Reflect twice, so we managed to take it out. Charizard comes out. Uses Rage, that's good. Thunderbolt almost takes it out. And it uses Rage again, and we managed to beat Charizard, and Rival 6 goes down first try. On to the Elite Four. So here we are, we're going to start by depositing our Pokemon. We're going to heal up, and then we're going to buy some full restores. Going to reorganize our inventory so we have better access to them, and we're going to move right into the Lorelei fight. We decide not to save, and this is our testing the waters run. One Thunderbolt almost takes out Dugong. Thankfully it doesn't use Rest and then it goes down. Cloyster falls in one Thunderbolt. Slowbro survives one but is paralyzed, and we follow it up and it goes down. Jinx, we don't have anything that's super effective against it, so we're just going to use Thunderbolts. And it does maybe a quarter. It's hitting us with Ice Punch, and thankfully it's not freezing us. That's really good. Lapras goes down to the yellow with a Thunderbolt. It manages to survive a second one, but we've just got an insane amount of HP, and then Lapras goes down. This is the easiest Lorelei fight I've had in probably all of my runs. So we use a full restore, and we're going to move on to Bruno. If he hits us with any of his fighting moves, it'll probably hurt, but his Onix, not going to be an issue. We're going to hit it with an Ice Beam, and it falls. We choose not to learn Double Edge, since it's a physical attack, and we definitely don't need any of it. So we get hit by a Hitmonchan's Ice Punch, and that is the end of this run, which is unfortunate. I could have probably gone quite a bit farther, but we'll see how it goes in subsequent runs. We've used some rare candies, and we're going to try again. So we're going to Thunderbolt the Dugong. We do a little over half, and then it goes down. Cloyster falls to one Thunderbolt. Slowbro goes down into the red, manages to survive. And then Jinx comes out, and we're just going to keep using Thunderbolt. Thankfully it uses Body Slam and not Thrash, followed by Double Slap. Very nice. She uses a Super Potion, which is not ideal, but we managed to take it out without taking any further damage. And we get hit by Blizzard. We are not frozen, so Lapras goes down, and we're going to use a full restore and then move on to Bruno. Ideally, we don't get frozen this time. Against the Onix, we're going to use Ice Beam, and it gets knocked out. We managed to outspeed Hitmonchan this time and hit it with Psychic, and it goes down. Hitmonlee outspeeds us, but he uses an X Defend, and then Psychic knocks it out. An Ice Beam for the Onix, and Machamp will probably take 2 Psychics. It does. Thankfully, it doesn't do any damage, and we move on to Agatha. We're going to use another full restore, and we're going to use a Max Ether to restore our Psychic's power points. This should be pretty easy, assuming we don't have bad sleep RNG. So we're going to start with Psychic. We become confused and hurt ourselves. Thankfully, Hypnosis misses, but we hurt ourselves again. It's still trying to confuse us, and we hit with a Psychic. She swaps into Golbat, who almost gets knocked out. Wing Attack does quite a bit of damage, and we finish it off with an Ice Beam. Gengar comes back out. She swaps into Haunter, who gets hit by our Psychic. It's a critical hit. It might not have mattered, and it gets fainted. Gengar's back out for the 3rd time. This time she doesn't swap, and Psychic knocks it out. Arbok gets knocked out with 1 Psychic, and we're on her last Gengar, who hits us with a Nightshade, which is probably one of the more preferable moves it could have used, and then we take it out with Psychic, and we move on to Lance. We're going to use a full restore and an elixir, and let's see how it goes. Ice Beam's going to be our best friend on everything except the Gyarados, so we're going to open with a Thunderbolt. Thankfully, he uses Leer and not Hyper Beam. It goes down, Dragonair comes out, and it falls to a critical Ice Beam. Second Dragonair falls to a normal Ice Beam, and let's see how Aerodactyl fares against a Ice Beam. We become confused, which could be bad. We hurt ourselves in confusion. It uses Bite. We're still confused and hurt ourselves. We hit it with an Ice Beam, and it goes down. We level up. Let's see how Dragonite treats us. And it's a Hyper Beam. That's unfortunate, so we have to restart again. This time we fought some trainers, and we're going to try it again. We're starting off at level 57 this time, and we accidentally click Bubble Beam, which doesn't really matter. And then we still don't knock out Dugong in 1 Thunderbolt, which is unfortunate because it uses Rest and goes back to full HP. 2 Thunderbolts later, and it gets knocked out. Cloyster comes out and falls to 1 Thunderbolt, as it usually does. We almost knock out the Slowbro. A Bubble Beam finishes it off, and here comes the Jinx, who's going to get a couple Thunderbolts, assuming we don't get frozen. We do manage to paralyze it. She uses the Super Potion, and we're still not able to knock it out. And a couple of rounds later, we do. A Thunderbolt takes Lapras down into yellow. She misses with Hydro Pump, and we move on to Bruno. Excellent. We're going to use a full restore, and then we're going to ideally not get frozen. Or hit with submission. Or any of his other fighting moves. So Onix is going to get an Ice Beam. Bruno starts with an X Defend on his Hitmonchan. Excellent. Psychic knocks it out. And an X Defend for his Hitmonlee. This is very good. Even with our current amount of HP, Jump Kick will knock us out in 1 hit, so that was pretty fortunate. Against the Onix, we're just going to use another Ice Beam. And the Machamp is probably going to take 2 Psychics, but let's find out. It uses Focus Energy, which is excellent, and we finish it off with a Thunderbolt. Bruno's down, and this time we are not going to use any items in between battle. We're just going to move on and fight Agatha as we are. We're going to Psychic the Gengar. We become confused and hurt ourselves in confusion. Thankfully it goes for a Dream Eater, which can't hit us because we're not asleep, and we try and finish it off with an Ice Beam, and it goes down. Here comes the Golbat. We're confused yet again, and Ice Beam crits and takes out the Golbat. I think it might have mattered. Thankfully, Haunter's Hypnosis misses, but we hurt ourselves in confusion, and then we hit after it misses with a Dream Eater. We try to finish it off with a Bullet Beam, but she uses Super Potion. Luckily, we crit and Haunter goes down. We level up to level 60, and against the Arbok, we're going to use Psychic. It goes down in one hit. Here comes her last Gengar, which fortunately cannot put us to sleep. So this is basically an easy win. Gengar goes down, and we've beaten Agatha. We're going to use a full restore and an elixir after this. We decide to use our rare candies just to be on the safe side. Bringing us up to level 65. Now we're gonna probably wreck Lance. Against the Gyarados, we're gonna use a Thunderbolt. We managed to outspeed it, and it goes down in one hit. This is looking pretty good. Dragonairs are gonna get Ice Beams. Well, we have good luck against the Aerodactyl. It starts with a Supersonic, which is very fortunate, and it misses, so we move on to Dragonite. It uses Slam for half of our HP, but we critically hit with Ice Beam and Lance is down. So we're going to move on to the champion, and we're going to use a full restore right before we do. Only thing I'm really worried about is the Executor putting us to sleep and the slash on his Charizard, but let's see how it goes. Pidgeot starts with a Mirror move, which doesn't do anything. We knock it out with a Thunderbolt. Again to Alakazam, we're going to use some Ice Beams. Thankfully, it's using Reflect. It hits with a Side Beam for minimal damage, and we move on. Looking pretty good. Rhydon goes down to one Ice Beam. Let's see how Executor fares. We're going to use an Ice Beam. It does over half. That's excellent. And it goes down. Next up is Gyarados, and we're going to use a Thunderbolt. It outspeeds and thankfully only uses Leer. Charizard hits for Fire Spin. It's a crit. That could be bad. And then it follows up with a Slash, bringing us down into yellow. We almost knock it out with a Thunderbolt. Thankfully, it uses Rage, allowing us to get the victory. This run with Chansey was surprisingly fun. It took a little while to get past Brock, which is where I expected most of the hardship to come from. But this was really nice. I'm still working on how to implement the rankings chart. I have a little notepad file drafted up right now. And right now, Persian is in first place with a ending of level 64 with 5 hours and 30 minutes to complete. Chansey is now in second place. We haven't gotten to the time yet, but if we skip ahead, it'll show that it is level 67 with a time of 7 hours and 5 minutes. Machoke is in third place with level 67 and 7 hours and 10 minutes. Ammonite, Arbok, and Gloom are in 4th, 5th, and 6th place respectively. Hopefully I can figure out a way to implement the chart. I might just put it to the left of the video display over where the box face icon is. We'll see. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed watching, please leave a like or subscribe if you are not, and leave a comment. And otherwise, thanks for watching. More of these coming soon.